What I think of the space race is really a competition between the Soviet Union and the United States. And I think probably the two things that kicked it off were, one, there was a proliferation of nuclear warheads that both countries were building up. And there was some missile technology connected with that. And there was competition even before there was a human component. And then the Soviet Union launched a satellite called Sputnik, which I think, within the United States at the time was sort of humiliating because this Soviet empire had launched this satellite that was going over the United States. And as a consequence of that, President Kennedy decided that we needed a tangible goal to essentially compete and push back on this progress the Soviet Union was enjoying. And that's when he announced we were going to go to the moon.
One may ask why the United States felt the need to compete with what was once known as the Soviet Union, a communist country far away. The answer was simple. What became known as the space race occurred during the Cold War. The Soviet Union was attempting to spread communism, and the United States was attempting to spread democracy, each with very different ideals. Accomplishments from both sides were thought to have shown which had the better ways of life, starting with the first major event of the space race, the launch of Sputnik on October 4, 1957. People all over the world were amazed by the incredible accomplishment. It sparked what would become an interest in space exploration, as well as plenty of new ideas, leading to John F. Kennedy and the extraordinary goal he set for the United States after being elected president. It was after the launch of several other satellites, such as Sputnik 2 and 3 for the Soviet Union, and Explorer 1 and Pioneer 1 for the United States, that John F. Kennedy stood before the country, revealing his plans. On September 12, 1962, at Rice University, President Kennedy delivered a speech that would change mankind.
Space will go ahead. Whether we join in it or not, we mean to be a part of it. We mean to lead it. For the eyes of the world now look into space. We choose to go to the moon.
Little did we know the huge impact these 7 words would have on society. Over the course of several years, the United States space program grew larger and became stronger. Just under 7 years after John F. Kennedy delivered his speech, the U.S. was ready to show what they could do. On July 16, 1969, the United States launched Apollo 11 and did something no other country had ever done. On July 20th, 1969, the U.S. landed men on the moon for the first time in history.
I'm going to step off the limb. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I don't think so, because you really have to have an impetus or to do these tremendous things like having people go to the moon. I mean, there was, at the time, there was no commercial reason to do it. There was no, specific reason that we'd want to do that unless it was political. And these kinds of projects require so much national effort and also a huge amount of money that there has to be really a political justification for it. And at one point in time, the United States was spending 4.5% of its national budget just on space. So I think it was specifically because of this competition and the threat that the United States felt from the Soviet Union that was the impetus behind it. And without that, I don't think that we would have gone to the moon.
Though it seems as if the time and effort put into the space programs are decreasing, their effects are everlasting. Often, the tools used for space exploration, such as the GPS, can be used in our very own communities. In upcoming missions, astronauts will be conducting experiments to see how zero gravity has an effect on the human body, and will also be adding pieces to the International Space Station. Maybe one day there will be a second space race. Maybe it won't be to another planet, but it could be back to the moon to search for resources that could help humans on Earth. The possibilities are endless.
When I was 6 years old, we were landing astronauts on the moon. My brother was a huge space nut. He had models he had built of all the vehicles, all the space vehicles at that time. And it was just a very exciting time. And I think myself, as well as every other young person, admired these people that were doing what we thought were brave and important things. And I think that was, an early but a primary motivator for me.
The space race was an inspiration, and inspiration doesn't go away.